Hey there, I'm Amy Murray from Teaching Exceptional Kinders, and today I am here to chat all things visual supports. I am a huge proponent of using visuals in any classroom, especially in kindergarten, but honestly in any classroom. Visuals can help to level the playing field for all of your learners. You have kids with special needs in your classrooms, you have kids who can't yet read in your classrooms, you have kids who are English language learners in your classrooms, you have kids who are fluent readers in your classrooms, but are having trouble processing three-step directions that you give them. And they forget by the time they get back to their seat what they're supposed to be doing. Visuals can level the playing field for all of those students. How? Just with pictures, right? We can easily remind students of directions if we put picture directions on the board. If you use a visual schedule, they can anticipate what's coming next and you'll stop hearing, how long till lunch? Or can I go to recess yet? Those kinds of things. Visuals can help your kids be more independent and stop interrupting you and your precious time. You only get so much time to work with them anyway. Visuals can just be a total classroom game changer. Let's take a look at probably my favorite visuals that I use in the classroom. Take a look at these first, and then I'll chat about visual schedule cards as well. But I use visuals when I gave directions. I use visuals in centers because center management was always something that was difficult for me because I couldn't be monitoring them while I was trying to work with a small group. Visuals like if this were my classroom, this would be labeled teachers, whatever, with a picture. I'd label the piggy bank. I'd label everything. I'd put a label where you're supposed to line up with little people lining up. I'd label their cubbies. Everything you can label with visual supports is totally helpful. All right, so these are my favorite game-changing classroom management tool. Okay, they're picture direction cards. My pack has these long ones, rectangle. I was going to say horizontal, but rectangle, and also square. So you can decide which you like better. And there's also directions on how to print them smaller if you want to print more to a page. But anyway, so let's say you are pulling kids one-on-one to assess them, or to do your progress monitoring because you have spare time to get all that progress monitoring for Acadience or whatever it is you're testing, right? So you want to give your kiddos something meaningful to do while you're working, but they're 5 and 6, and so they don't remember, or they didn't hear the directions when you gave them in whole group, and so now they're just sitting there either not doing anything or they're coming to interrupt you every 5 seconds to ask, and then you'll say something like, go ask 3 before me. Well, while that sounds like it's better and not interrupting you, you're still listening to that kid go ask 3 other people, and you're praying that that kid is asking the right 3 other people so they get the correct information, right? And then you're all frustrated because you're having to stop what you're doing to go help. Use these. So let's say the first step, of course, is that you want them to write either their name or write a sentence, whatever you want them to do. So write, and you put that up first. Okay, so step 1 is write. Sorry for the glare, but otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me. And then you want them to cut out, maybe it's a worksheet they're doing, and they write their name and they write their answers, and then they have to cut out the little pieces. Okay, so then they're going to cut. And then they've got to glue those pieces where they belong, right? And then after they glue, maybe you want them to color. So that's on the board. And then oftentimes the direction I would give them if they get all of this done is draw on the back, draw or something like that, or write a story on the back. So I would have that up as well. I used these with magnets on my dry erase board, so they work closer. This pocket chart is a cheap one from Target that doesn't have the real thick pockets, so it's not the best for displaying these, but you get the idea. You could also put numbers beside them. If you're doing a worksheet, you could put examples of the worksheet beside it so they could see what they're supposed to be doing next. But the possibilities are just endless as long as you have these up here, right? So they're up there, you're working, your timer or whatever you're working on at your table in the back of the room, they're all working on their independent activity. And if Susie doesn't know what to do next, then you just point, right? Say, look up front. And then they can figure out, okay, I did 1, 2, 3, and now I need to do 4. And there are all different directions included. I showed you the square one. There's like circling things. This one says trace. We do a lot of, or this one says draw. I do have one that's trace, sorry. Tracing, counting, sorting, separating, alphabetize, all different direction cards that you may need. I tried to think of everything that you may need in the classroom. And so you could do something very specific like this. It even has like color red, color blue, and you could like differentiate between the colors and things like that that you need to do. But when you take the time to print these cards out one time, right? You print these out over the summer, laminate them. Mine aren't laminated again because of my lighting here, but at school they were laminated. Either put magnets on the back or use them in the pocket chart. Decide where in your room will be your direction place where you're going to keep them. And then you have them. Then every time you go to give a direction or assign something, you just flip through and you put them up. And it will save you so much time in the long run once you have it all done and once it's all ready. So those are direction cards. Game changer, total game changer. If you look through the reviews on TPT, that's what you'll see. Like everyone, it's like, why didn't I do this sooner? Because everybody can look and say, oh, that's scissors. I understand I'm supposed to cut. They might not know exactly what to cut, so you may need to put that part up there with it. But in general, if they know it, if they have the task in front of them, excuse me, then they'll know what to do. So that is a very simple way to keep everybody on task. And the other thing that is a huge game changer for visual supports in the classroom is using a class schedule. You may think they're only 5 or 6. I know the schedule. They don't need to know. Well, I can assure you that you have a few kids in your class who have anxiety. I was that kid who would love to know what's coming next or be able to like do a little check off. Like, okay, we did math and now we do. And you'll say to yourself, I do the same thing every day. Maybe you do. In that case, your visual schedule, super easy to make. But one of the first things a behavior specialist is going to say to you, if they come into your class to observe a kid who is struggling with a behavior, is they need a schedule. And if you have a class visual schedule, at least you could say you've tried things. They need visual supports. There's another one. The other thing they'll say is a sticker chart, and that's a conversation for another day. But visual schedules do help everyone. And they honestly helped me to stay on track too, because if I knew if I put this on the schedule, then I was basically promising that we were going to get to that thing. Now, do you always get to everything every day? No, things happen, fire drills happen, life happens. And so kids have to adapt and roll with it just like we do. But a visual schedule is helpful. So how detailed do you need your visual schedule to be? That's really up to you and how you want to run your classroom. But I'll show you just sort of an example of what I would have done for our morning. Okay, let's take these off. And so then we've got our schedule cards, and now you suddenly can't see my face, but that's okay. So we always started, unpack. I always would put something like arrival or whatever it is you do first. So I would have arrival and morning tucks because they would come, or arrival and unpack, because that's what they would do first. And then after they're unpacked and got their stuff in their cubbies, then we would do our morning meeting. And typically after morning meeting, we would do either phonemic awareness, like our Haggerty. Oh, sorry, that's morning tucks. And then our morning meeting. And then Probably like our phonemic awareness or phonics block would come next because I like to do that whole group back to back. And then we would do probably center, small group, or ELA block would be there. So you could do it as broad as that. Then usually we would break for lunch or recess. A lot of schools have those together. So there is a separate lunch card, a separate recess card included in this pack, but a lot of people do those together and that saves you space on your schedule. Then we would do math. I don't have that one right here with me. Oh, we do math, maybe social skills, maybe we have specials like art or music. And then we'd end our day with dismissal, and they loved seeing big words like dismissal or assembly and getting to know what those words meant on our schedule. But once you have something like this posted in your classroom, your kiddo who comes in and arrives and says, when's lunch? Or I'm hungry, when's recess? Or I'm hungry, when's lunch? I just want to go outside, when's recess? They can literally look at your schedule and go, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 things, and then I can go to lunch, or 5 things, and then I have recess. And that helps. Some classes, some years, I've turned them over as we finished. So it's like, okay, morning tubs are over. Everyone, it's time to come up for a morning meeting. And then they would all come up for meeting, and we'd have our meeting, and then we'd turn that over and move on to the next. And that really helped to visualize and give them the visual, like, okay, we finished, we're moving on. You will have kids who need an individual schedule that's more broken down, like I need to sit on the carpet for morning meeting. I need to keep my hands in my lap for morning meeting. And your morning meeting obviously is not just a meeting. So you have a greeting. So it might say that. It just depends on your student as far as the individual schedules go. But for a class schedule, just having something this simple is all you really need to help anticipate what's coming next and help make your transitions smoother in the classroom. So those are the 2 biggest, simplest. Print them once, laminate them, have them cut out. You could even have a parent helper cut those out for you, and then keep them somewhere handy, and you can give simple directions at your centers for independent work whenever you need them all year long. Just print them out, or just have them ready and print it out and ready to go, as well as your visual schedule cards. I always kept my visual schedule cards, the class ones, in a pencil box. And that way I just opened up, find the ones I needed. They were always on the top, and kept it organized that way for myself. So that's another easy tip. And I had a pocket, a magnetic pocket that I got from Scholastic that these would stay in. And I would just pull them out as I needed them. But honestly, give them a try. I'd love to hear how it works in your classroom. For real, if you're not using classroom visuals, start with these. It will change everything. All right, until next time, have an exception.